Leg 6, Lunenburg to West Spectacle Island in the beautiful LaHave Islands, about 15 nautical miles. Leg 7, from West Spectacle into the lower LaHave River, to tie up at the LaHave Bakery's dock, about 5 nautical miles. Leg 8, from the LaHave Bakery dock near Fort Point, will sail upriver to Bridgewater, about 10 nautical miles. We were not ready to depart Lunenburg until late in the morning for the sail down to the LaHave Islands. The weather was a bit forbidding, with rain and gusty conditions forecast for the next day. The wind, 10 to 15 knots, was well forward of the beam, actually right on the bow, not Phantasia's best point of sail, so we motor sailed most of the 15 miles over, rounding Rose Point and Point Enrage with a terrific view of the waves crashing on the gray and rust-colored rocks. As the wind and waves built nearing Pollock Shoal, we decided to take a shortcut listed in one of our cruising guides, going between West Ironbound Island and Gaff Point. This gives us a terrific view of the waves roaring over Shag Rock, and we saw the water's depth drop to just 30 feet, crossing the shallows between the island and the mainland. Our 400 amp house battery bank was down to just 160 amps after 17 days out from St. Margaret's. We had our 38 horse diesel engine running at 2700 RPM, with the mainsail up to add horsepower as we fought the wind and waves. By the time we arrived at the LaHave Islands, our 120 amp engine alternator had put back 100 amps in the battery bank. In sunny weather, our two 60 amp solar panels can almost but not quite keep up with the daily DC power needs of the fridge, lights, and navigation system.
Well, it's too bad we had to motor over, but we really needed the power, the amps.
Once in the bay, leaving Ironbound and Gaff Point behind us, conditions began to moderate. As we anchored behind West Spectacle Island, the winds dropped to almost nothing, allowing us to row ashore and inspect our latest island paradise. Near West Spectacle's northeastern end are a small sand beach and drying bar that connects to East Spectacle, the larger of these two islands. Southwest is Covey, Hurdle, and Mosier Islands, which we would later explore. To the north is the mouth of the LaHave River. West Spectacle proved to be an excellent stop for walking and is covered by interesting ferrous rock formations, some dense forests, marshes, and salt grasses. We'd come back the next day and circumnavigate on foot. The dinghy engine unfortunately stopped working back in Lunenburg. Rowing is better exercise anyway. We spent a stormy second day at anchor off of the Spectacles, collecting rainwater for drinking, reading, and listening to the world radio on the SSP.
What language is it? You're listening to Radio Romania International.
The following day the sun came out and the temperature shot up as we made our way up the lower LaHave River to LaHave, where we docked at the bakery. This must be one of the most perfect destinations on the South Shore. The bakery has space for 3 or 4 boats on their dock, as well as a mooring. There is limited access to AC power if you need to charge up, and there is good well water for drinking only, no boat washing. As a guest at the bakery's dock, you have use of their showers and washrooms for the nominal fee of $2. The bakery itself is a treasure. Coffee, pizza, bread, and an assortment of other foods may be purchased, such as eggs and milk. All this surrounding a wonderful crafts co-op, dory shop, and art gallery is nicely managed by friendly local people. I'm going to get a pizza, though. They just came out of the oven. I just watched them run upstairs. They got beautiful stuff in this crafts co-op, though.
Smockings.
You just have to take a deep breath.
Looks like that tank is full.
Yeah, it just started coming out down here. We set off on foot to Fort Point, only a few kilometers away, with Jane spotting birds along the way. This area was first mapped by Samuel de Champlain in 1604. The original fort, now reconstructed, was built by Isaac de Razilly in 1632, when he and the colonists he had brought from France referred to Le Havre as an earthly paradise. In the 1750s, Joseph Purnett came to the by then British colony of Nova Scotia and established himself as a prominent businessman and landowner in the lower Le Havre Bridgewater area. Purnett's Cove, where the Le Havre River Yacht Club is, bears the same name still. I guess you have to lock it.
And here it says this window is all that remains
Oh boy.
of the original building.
At the dock there was a constant procession of vessels. Tim and Eileen on their refit Covey lobster boat were from Turk's Head, Ireland. Simon's Pride, a working lobster boat we'd seen in Lunenburg, stopped for an afternoon, and another couple on a sloop we would later see in Bridgewater called to enjoy this fun and lively place over the few days we were there. We waited until noon to leave the bakery's dock for the flood tide to carry us up the river 10 miles to the town of Bridgewater. With a nice 8-knot breeze behind us and the tidal current, we made good time under mainsail alone. Leaving the bakery, you have to pay special attention to the cable ferry that crosses the river. It's best to cross its track and the underwater cable when the ferry is at dock. The river's banks are lined with homes and cottages, some with boats on moorings and others with docks. There's a single strand of road on each side and parallel to the river. The thin line of houses ends abruptly, giving way to the lush green forest behind.
It's nice. These tidal rivers are so beautiful. With the bank that, is exposed and then... More side trawlers.
If it was pretty on the day it was made.
Oh, that's sick.
Arriving in Bridgewater, we found there is no official marina for overnight stays, so we tied up at the day-use-only dock at Shipyard's Landing Park and called in to ask if we might stay the night. The landing is near to town, which is excellent for shopping and provisioning. There is a mall on the opposite side of the river, over the bridge that gives the town its name. The town's sloping, tree-lined streets are very pleasant for walking, and there are interesting period homes at every turn. We stopped for a rest at the Fairview Inn and received a warm welcome and tour from the proprietor. The inn's restaurant is reported to be one of the best places to eat in Bridgewater, although we didn't get a chance to try it.
1916.
That evening we were entertained by loons calling as we had supper in the cockpit of the boat. It's interesting to note the dampness and cooler temperatures found out at the LaHave Islands near the open Atlantic are replaced by warmer and drier conditions the further up the river you go. In Bridgewater during the day the temperature reached the low 30s, a good 10 degrees warmer than out on the Atlantic.